Okay folks, time for a very basic flight tutorial. I'm just going to be covering basic ship movement in this one. We can dig into some more advanced stuff a little bit later on. So switch to ship exterior view for this one to start off with. The Star Citizen flight model contains full 6 degree of freedom flight, which means you can move your ship in basically any direction at any time. Now how does this work? Well, it's equipped with a set of thrusters on the exterior. This is common to all ships. The thruster positions might be different, but typically you'll have a set of main thrusters at the back for forward propulsion, and then smaller thrusters at various points on the ship that control your movement in other directions. So for very basic movement, what I will do is I'm going to use the buttons on the stick for this, but you'll have buttons on the keyboard as well for strafing left and then strafing right, and then also moving up and moving down. So that's very straightforward. You can use that for precision maneuvering in small spaces if you just want to shift your ship in some direction a couple of meters at a time. Then what we can also do is you've got your main axis movement, of course, and this is what we would refer to as yaw, pitch and roll. So yawing would be side to side movement, like so. Pitching is moving the nose of your ship. Let me maybe do this from the side, it's easier to see if you do it that way. Pitching will be moving the nose of the ship up and down, like this. And then of course roll. We move back to this perspective. Rolling would be rolling along the longitudinal axis of the ship. So those are the basic movements, and as you combine those you'll be able to pull off pretty much any maneuver that you fancy. So I'm currently stationary, and let's just quickly switch on landing gear. This is the mode that you'll typically be in when you take off. Now if you throttle up, you'll notice that this indicator over there, I'm just going to zoom in, this bottom indicator here that goes from 0 to 100 is your throttle. So as I move my throttle up and down, that will indicate my current throttle setting. This over there on the left is your current speed indicator in meters per second. And another thing that's very important down here is your current flight mode. Now pre stands for precision, which means you're currently in precision flight mode, which limits your throttle. Well, basically your throttle is coupled to your speed cap. So the speed cap in landing mode is 50 meters per second, which helps you land a little bit easier, and the throttle now, even though it still goes from 0 to 100, at 100 your speed caps are at 50. In order to move faster you need to switch to a different flight mode, which in this case means raising your landing gear, and that gets you up to the maximum rated maneuvering speed of your ship. You'll notice that this readout down here now says SCM, or Space Combat Maneuvering Mode, and your speed in meters per second has now gone up. In my case, for the Aurora, it is 185. So this is typically what you would use in space combat. You can maneuver fairly easily, aim the nose of your ship wherever you want to go, fire off your weapons with some degree of precision and still hit things. If you travel any faster than this, combat becomes very difficult, if not impossible, which is why they limit the top speed of ships, even though in space flight that's not the most realistic way of things, but it's a game mechanic to make sure that the game is actually playable. Now there is one more mode that you can use to go faster than your rated space combat maneuvering speed, and that is of course hitting the afterburners. So if I hit the, I believe it is the tab button, oops, no, sorry, tab, actually activate scanning, I think it's shift, but let me use my stick because that's the one I normally use. There we go. Now I've got some long wicked flames coming out of the back, and this mode puts you into a acceleration curve that will take you up to the top speed your ship can actually achieve. In my case I think it's about 1200 or so meters per second, so let me just leave that. Now if you let go, the afterburner stops firing. Okay, so you can hold the button down to accelerate to whatever speed you want to achieve. As soon as you let it go, the ship stops accelerating and it will maintain the speed indefinitely without burning any additional fuel. However, if while in afterburner mode you pull any sort of a maneuver, your ship automatically slows back down to space combat maneuvering. So this is cool for cruising longer distances, but as soon as you touch any control that causes any maneuvering off your axis, your ship automatically slows down again so that you can maneuver in anticipation of maybe dodging an obstacle or going into combat or whatever the case might be. So those are the basics of flight. There's one more quick trick that I can show you. So if you move along your axis, the maneuvering thrusters will fire in order to achieve that movement. If you hold down the boost button, so you'll see where SCM is currently written. If I now hold down boost and maneuver, I can actually pull off that maneuver a little bit faster. However, the boost button, basically what it does is apply extra power to your maneuvering thrusters, but this does burn more fuel. So we'll burn through your regular hydrogen fuel load a lot quicker if you're constantly sitting on boost, but that can give you the edge that you need in a really tight combat situation where you need to outmaneuver your opponent by getting that extra few degrees per second of maneuvering in. So, alright, that's it for basic space combat flight. I hope you learned a few things. We'll look at some more advanced flight modes in another video.